over the course of time, I've read a lot of children's Bibles, and they have these pictures of David and Goliath. Of course, that story, and that's what I'm talking about. Is I've never once seen one of those artist renditions with Goliath having the 6 fingers, and it all the other giants that David's men slew, it mentions how they had 6 fingers and 6 toes, and I sometimes wonder, did the illustrators read the Bible? You'd think it'd be a real deal to actually draw the 6 fingers. Anyways, you know how on internet you read about or hear about the Giant of Kandahar in Afghanistan that the soldiers killed there. Of course, the government doesn't want them to talk about it, but who behind the government is the enemy, right? He's the god of this world, and he doesn't want anything that would give any credence or evidence to the Bible. Now, when you think about Goliath, he was 9'9", and Saul was head and shoulders taller than anyone, basically in Israel. He was a tall guy. You'd think, okay, so let's give him 6'7", or whatever, maybe even closer to 7 feet. Who knows? Like man-to-man combat is. You think, why? Granted, Goliath was, a soldier from his youth. I've often thought about that. Everyone knows, Goliath is a Nephilim, right? It's not pure human, right? The 6 fingers, 6 toes thing. It's a genetic mod, and same with the height. But when you look at his armor, like he was toting 125 pounds of body armor, and then his javelin was like 15 pounds, like the head of his javelin, and then it mentions like his brothers, or it mentions the staff of the javelin was like a weaver's beam. You're talking 2-3 inches diameter. Like you're gonna want your javelin to be something that you don't have to think about when you throw it. You don't have to. It comes easy to throw it. So 15 pounds, like it makes you wonder. Okay, how strong was this dude? So then you go and read the story or listen to the story about the Giant of Kandahar in Afghanistan there, and that guy was about 12 feet tall. He also had 6 fingers and 6 toes. But when these Marines had to kill him and then transport him off, the one guy, he said he wound up and he punched the body of this giant, and he said that his muscles were of a whole another level of texture. They were like hard, really strong. And this giant, like when you mentioned how he ran out of the cave like full tilt so fast, you're talking like an athlete here of giant proportions. Like, it's no wonder nobody wanted to fight Goliath. It's not just some 9'9" tall human being. You pictured these odd giants that have the thyroid problem or something, where they grow extra tall, but they're not stable. They're weak. This giant in Kandahar, the way he ran out of the cave and the way he threw that spear and killed that one soldier, you're like, oh man, that's a force to reckon with. And it puts a whole new light on. It puts a whole new light on what Goliath really was. Like, we're talking a scary thing to deal with, a scary personality. And of course the demonic behind it, when he's, cursing God and and just the way he would talk. He was just a total intimidator, you know. And of course Israel's like, well, yeah, if I lose this fight, then we're all slaves to the Philistines there. So I mean, there's a lot of consequence. But still, yeah, it was interesting to read and listen to about that story of the Giant of Kandahar. It really gave another perspective on what Goliath may have looked like and how strong he was. Like, come on, grab something that's 15 pounds and put it on the end of a stick, and then consider throwing that, and actually throwing it so that it actually flies through the air some distance and all that. Like, this was an incredibly powerful giant. But David knew his God. All right. So that's what we as Christians, we can be up against some intense opposition. And when we know our God, greater is he that is within us than he that is in the world.